Hello everyone, my name is Code Gorilla, and today I'm going to be playing Crystalis Randomizer. Crystalis, released by SNK in 1990, is an action role-playing game from the Nintendo Entertainment System. While the base game is fairly linear, the randomizer adds in a few tweaks to shake up the game's linear progression, resulting in a fast-paced randomizer. Today's flag set is going to be a small variation on the 2025 Community Tournament flag set. The Tournament flag set introduced a new feature that allows for the ultimate weapon, Crystalis, to be found outside of the final tower, giving players an opportunity to tear through enemies and bosses with that weapon, so long as they can actually find it. The small variation from those flags is that I've turned off no bow mode, so we will once again, are required to find flight and all three bows to complete the game. I'm going to go into a bit more detail of what the actual flags are as we get into the run, but without any further ado, let's get started. Start. Do some name input here. Right there was a very brief look at the flag string, which if you understand what the flag string means, that tells you everything you need to know about the settings, but don't worry about it if you don't. So we will get started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. All right. Right off the bat, you can see I'm using a custom sprite. We have capability for custom sprites. This is actually one that I made of TaskBot. There's another TaskBot sprite floating around in the community made by Dented Razor that is mostly better, but I'm partial to the one that I personally made. Alright, so here I'm checking out the shops. One of the things you're looking for in this first town is a shop that sells warp boots, and it seems like I'm unfortunate in that we don't have any. As you might be able to tell by me checking all the shops, we are playing with, what's it called? A mild entrance randomizer that is, houses only, basically. So, it affects all the houses in all the towns, and a few of the, like, major palaces get affected as well. So, the one thing I need to mark down in my notes is that we found the Oak Elder in one of those houses, because that is a location I'll have to come back to later for a check. In the meantime, this is one of the additions from the randomizer. This is a cave based on the Game Boy Color version of the game that adds a cave to the starting area. It has two exits. One of them is blocked by a wall, and the other one is open always, and those two exits go to 2 of 4 random places. So, a common early routing thing you'll see is players running through here, getting the 2 checks, coming over here to check this wall in case it's been randomized. In this case, it has not. That is a wall that needs the Sword of Wind to break. And actually, I should now use this. And this is exactly why I held off on using it, is because I've had too many times that be the Sword of Thunder, which teleports you when you get it. So I wanted to actually finish all my checks up in GBC Cave before I combine those 2 items. We've got Aurelius here, and in Aurelius' basement, we've got Barrier. Interesting that we're getting so many spells so early. So there is an exit that I've now left behind, and I will be hoping to get to soon. I no longer need to worry about buying warp boots because the game was kind enough to give me teleport early on. Okay, so some things to write down in my notes. Messia, who gives us the Crystalis that I mentioned at the top of the video, is here in Portella. We also had Queen Aurelius in Portella, and let's check the palace. The palace is Styxy. We can get 1 check here. It's not great, but I might as well do it while I'm here. There are 6 checks total. 2 of them require the Sword of Water. 3 of them require flight. Neither of which we have. But given that the game gave me barrier early on. I feel like the logic is kind of pointing me here. One of the things you'll pick up after playing this randomizer bunch is the early parts of these tend to be fairly linear. And yeah, you can see I got a sword there, which is one of our major pieces of progression. And the question is, I think I'm actually going to Wild Warp here to go back to the beginning, because I don't think I have enough MP and hit points to safely get out. So we'll just take a warp there. We've done the one check in Stixie, and I will now go start checking GBC Cave exits. This is an action RPG, so there are RPG elements where you kill enemies for experience and money. You can see down in the bottom right of my screen, there's a level and a DL. The level is, of course, my level, and the DL is a scaling level. So, in order to facilitate the having everything in a random order, which you would not normally get in vanilla, all enemies in the game scale based on the number of key items you've received. So DL 7 means I've found 7 key items so far. And so that goes all the way up to 51 when you found everything that there is to find. Hopefully we don't get to that point, but... Alright, so this town is a bit of a bust. We did find Brokahana, who could be important later. I'm gonna stock up on some healing here. The other nice thing about coming here is I now have, because I've been to the town, I've figured it as a warp point, so any teleport or warp boots I use later can get me back there instantly. Just taking a time to kill a couple of these easy enemies to get some early experience and money. That is not an easy enemy. That's usually only found in the final tower of the game. So finding it early on is somewhat unfortunate, but thankfully they're not too bad to just avoid, especially in an open area like the desert was. So... didn't quite get the money from that, but that's okay. I've still got the experience. So, I actually have a fair number of options right now. I can go back to the Portola region, although if entrances are, or if walls are all vanilla, there's not actually much I can do in the Portola region at the moment, because most of that needs Sword of Water or Sword of Fire. But yeah, I kind of expected to get taken here. So I'm just gonna mark in my tracker the 2 places that GBC Cave brought me to, and now I've found Change. Change, of course, being a spell that lets you change into various other forms needed for a handful of checks. Come up here and see what's in this entrance. Okay, and given that it's nothing, for now, I will just reload my save. So, but I do need to write that down. Tornell's house is in Tornell's house. And you want an unusual statue. So that's going to be the statue of Onyx we found at the very beginning of the game. And telepathy. Okay. So telepathy and change is actually a check in that desert area that we were just in a moment ago. We have the Oak Mom in Bryn Mawr. There's not much else I can do here, so we're going to teleport and do that check that I mentioned. I'm gonna go talk to a small rabbit. By pretending to be... Oh. Right. I'm still low level, so everything costs too much MP. Yeah, both teleport and change cost 20 MP, and at levels 1 and 2, you only have 34, so you can only cast one of those spells. Yeah, and that's kind of what I was expecting to find here, is this hazmat suit. So, I'm going to use the inn again, so I can teleport again. And we're gonna go back to Bryn Mawr with that hazmat suit. And one thing I could have done here already, I don't think I actually talked to you. Yes. Once you have telepathy, you can talk to the Oak Mom, and that starts a quest to go rescue the Oak Mother's child. And that is how you get both her check and the check from the Oak Elder. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Again, as I kind of mentioned, the early parts of these seeds can be kind of linear, so I'm kind of just following where the progression takes me at the moment, which right now seems to be taking me to the swamp. So to rescue the child, you go into the swamp here, and you come down here, get the child, you avoid the enemies. Oops. Those are warlocks. Those rotating fire beams that they shoot out can turn you into a slime, which makes you move much slower until you get off the screen. Okay. We've rescued the child. We can check the houses here in Oak. That's an important one. That's the Swan Dance Hall. That's also an important one. That's Clark's house. We will use this inn because I need my MP back. I need to find just like a few more enemies to kill to get a little bit more MP. Alright, and that one's not important. So, now we go back to Bryn Mawr. So Clark's house is in Fort Forget. Sword of Fire. Awesome. And we also had the Oak Elder in Leaf. So now we actually have a little bit of a choice. That Sword of Fire opens up Saber West and... Oh, actually... it doesn't open up Saber North because I haven't found a couple of important houses yet. Okay. Now, because I am broke, I am going to be coming up here to get some experience and some money. Alright. Hopefully that's enough to just use the inn. I'm now level 3, so I can at least teleport twice before I have to heal MP again. Which, let's do exactly that. Let's go to... So I have Saber West and I have Waterfall Cave. And of those, I'm choosing to do Waterfall Cave. I suppose one other thing that I have is the Stomp Fight, which I am putting off for the moment, because I don't have the money for Warp Boots. And there's a trick you can use to use Warp Boots to end that fight instantly. Otherwise, you have to... It's basically required that you do 3 attempts at it. Oh, and there's Flight. Okay. Well, Flight's gonna open up quite a bit. With Flight, I can go through Sahara to get to the rest of the back half of the game. So that'll probably be the play after I clear out the checks here. But since I'm here anyways, let's clear out the checks here. Especially MP's still a little tight, so... Now I'm going to use a glitch here to sneak past these statues. Basically, if you approach them and get into their hitbox and then hold down and right and mash through their text box multiple times, they will push you out backwards, which lets you to get by them without having to actually have the item that lets them turn into normal NPCs. It is one of the very few glitches enabled and in logic in this flag set, and it's mainly because otherwise it makes things overall much worse. Alright, Rabbit Boots don't do much for progression, but there is a hidden enemy down there. Alright, got me a couple of times. I do want to kill this Mimic, because Mimics give quite a bit of money when defeated, so that will help. with buying the pair of warp boots that I mentioned that I want. Let's go to Sahara, though, and see what I can do here. So first of all, this item shop does not sell warp boots. Okay, well, that's a shame. Okay, that music change I have to slightly pay attention to. That means that is the Chiron Inn, and that means there's an event later on that we can trigger that will cause that to disappear from the game and no longer be accessible. Alright, so this pyramid entrance here that we can get to with flight is one of our important palace entrances. This is Goa. It is a long dungeon that was probably going to require all 4 swords to get all the way through. I'm choosing to skip it for now. We'll come back to it soon. I want to see everything else the Goa region has to offer before I get distracted doing that. I'm going to focus on the towns first. There's a cave off to the left over there that I could go exploring in. It also leads to the back entrance of that Goa fortress. So, again, I'm kind of putting that whole thing off for the moment. We've got an inn, we've got an item shop, we've got another item shop. Do you sell warp boots? I just want to buy 1 pair of warp boots, please. Okay, and I'm just filling up on medical herbs otherwise, because those are our healing item. Alright, we've got Chiron Temple. This is an important place to find because it has a check, and it also has one of the major bosses. So, to beat the game, we have a story mode flag on, so that means we need to... Hang on, I'm gonna actually use this in while I'm thinking about it. Story mode means to get the second to last boss that's guarding the end of the game to actually appear, you need to have all 4 swords, and you need to have defeated all of the bosses, all of the major bosses at least. So the fact that that temple houses one of the major bosses means it is absolutely required in order to beat the game. Let's write down that that is Chiron Temple is in Goa, and Goa Castle is in Pyramid. Get the Swan Shack, that is the Joel Shack. That has a secret passage in it once we find the eyeglasses. It's nothing. Okay, let's fly out over the ocean. Come over here to Joel first. Joel has an inn. Joel has an item shop. Joel has that rabbit, which is important to remember. And Joel doesn't have much else, so I'm going to reset here. When you reload, if you are at 0 MP, the game will give you a pity MP, which I'm going to use to take off and get to here. Unfortunately, I don't think this is a checkpoint, so let's just use this magic ring. I'll restore all of my MP, which is a little bit of a waste, but better than not being able to leave. So, answering machine is done. That means there's some checks I can get here. Give me another magic ring to make up for the one that I spent. And then I can give a medical herb to this dolphin to heal it, and get another magic ring. Okay, well, that makes up for the ones that I spent. That may also be required. One of the flags that's on here is something called Vanilla Dolphin. Let's just use one of these. Fruit of Repun is garbage, so I'm just gonna immediately drop it from my inventory. Vanilla Dolphin means there's a whole sequence of interactions you have to go through in order to get the shell flute working, and that is required to access one of the palaces in the game. Okay, I've made it to Chiron now, which is nice. Here's the Joel Elder. Or, sorry, the Leaf Elder. Okay. Let me think about where I'm going next. I think I'm going up Mount Hydra here. Then after that, it's time to stop putting off Goa and actually head into Goa. What I'm really hoping to find is either the 4th sword, so I can at least clear all of Goa in one pass, or some kind of combat upgrade to make the boss fights in there a little bit faster. So I've got Dio's Pendant, I also found Shield Ring. Dio's Pendant is a passive MP regen. Shield Ring increases your defense against projectile. Neither of those are really all that important to me right now. So... So, one of the flags that may or may not be on is randomized walls. Which are these walls that are weak to certain elements that you blow up. Like that one right there. And the thing is, after seeing a couple spots, I was pretty sure that we have vanilla walls, and so I know that with Sword of Wind and Flight, I can get everything that's here. Lime is also garbage, so we're just gonna throw that away immediately. And, so, one of the things the rabbit boots let you do is charge while moving. Normally you have to stand still to actually be able to build up a charge. So, honestly, it's not a bad piece of equipment to find relatively early on in the seed. Fruit of Repun. Okay, we're gonna throw that out as well. Another thing you may have noticed me doing is, if you press select and then B, that is a controller shortcut added to the randomizer to make it so that you can swap swords without having to go into your menu. In the vanilla game, you have to, every time you wanted to change weapons, go into the menu. Which, it's some very nice quality of life to be able to do that anytime. Okay, we've got some lag here. Normally those Medusas are good enemies to, like, farm, but with the robots also in that room, it is not worth it. Okay, Opal Statue's not bad. That is a consumable item that, when you die, if you have one in your inventory, it will automatically revive you with full health. Alright. So, Mount Hydra here was kind of a bust. There was basically nothing there. So, I'm just gonna note here that that is off. I think this is off as well. Honestly, I think all of those are off. And... yeah, I think it's time to stop putting it off, and... actually, I'll do one other thing first. Because I can route this nicely. We're gonna come up here, and we're going to do this Stomp fight while I still have this pair of Warp Boots in my inventory. And so, if you use the Warp Boots during the Stomp fight and warp to one of 3 specific towns, it will let you automatically win the fight. And it's basically, you're warping to a point where the spot you warp into has a certain X value and is basically high enough on the screen. Okay, Root of Power and wants Tornado Bracelet. That's what I expected. Suppose I haven't been to Amazon's, and I could go do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the front entrance. We're going to go in the Goa. The fact that I'm still missing one of the swords here is a little unfortunate. Alright, that trigger that just happened is something called the Chiron Massacre. So that triggers the boss fight in the temple, so it's absolutely required to actually beat the game. And it's basically getting to that point with the Sword of Thunder and having visited the Chiron Temple and talked to the NPC there. So having that done is nice. This is Kalbesk's floor. It's a little bit of a maze with no items in it, so thankfully the maps aren't randomized on this flag set, so it's just, do you have the path memorized to the boss? And I do. I'm not that close to a level. Okay. Here's our first of the major bosses. This is Kalbesk 2. He kind of just runs around the screen and has these lasers that he shoots. This is not the best loadout to be fighting here, but this is actually one of the easier bosses in this entire dungeon. The problem is his movement is fairly random, so the biggest danger with this fight is having him just walk into you all the time. Oh, there goes my opal. I didn't really want to use it, but it's not worth resetting to save it, so we're just gonna force our way through that fight. Okay, well, at least it replaced it with another opal. Now, this is where I really wish I had a combat upgrade of some kind, because the next boss, Vera 2, is just really, really tanky. And so being able to do even a little bit more damage would be very nice. In fact, if I get a combat upgrade here, I'm going to show off a glitch to hopefully make that fight take a little bit faster. Or go a little bit faster. But so far, no luck. Right, there's one more item on this floor before I have to go to the boss. How much experience are these giving right now? Only 50. Yeah, I'm not getting enough experience from these enemies. Oh! Okay, perfect. I don't even need to set off a glitch for that, because that's just the thing that the boss is weak to, so okay. This boss is going to be much easier now. Worth noting that I have been able to deduce at this point that the enemy weaknesses are vanilla. That is another mystery flag in these flag sets. You don't know whether or not that flag is going to be on, but you can figure it out as you play. And so I know that this boss is going to be weak to fire. And having a level 2 fire sword for this fight will make it not too bad. Level 2 fire sword and barrier. And honestly, rabbit boots help here too. Just being able to charge while dodging makes a difference. Sometimes you come in here with a level 1 sword and you're doing, 2 points of damage per attack, 3 points of damage per attack for, 200, 300 hit points, and it takes a while. She's also got those rotating flames around here that means you can't really get in and, mash to stab her a bunch. You have to charge up shots. So it takes a long time if you're doing 1 or 2 or 3 damage per charge shot, but the level 2 fire sword makes it not bad at all. And in particular, Fire Sword at level 2. Fire Sword is probably the best level 2 sword, in my opinion. Ah, there we go. Okay. The game wanted me to come all the way in here to get the Sword of Water, which is what the next boss is weak to. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any upgrades for that boss fight either. And it's a little bit of a long walk out to set up the glitch for that boss, because I need a place where I can hard save. So the thing that I've been alluding to is the sword charge glitch, which is enabled but out of logic in these flags. The way it works is if you have two different weapons at two different levels, so you have, you know, a level 2 sword and a level 1 sword, then... Oh good, that level is nice. Then you can equip the higher level sword, then go into the menu, equip the lower level sword, and save without leaving the menu. And then when you reload that save, you will be using the weaker sword at the level of the stronger sword. And that lasts until you open your menu. So there's some challenge involved in navigating places and like planning ahead and making sure you don't need to open your menu for anything. Unfortunately, you do have to be able to hard save, and the only place in all of this entire fortress that you can hard save is right after the first boss. So it would be kind of a long walk back to go there just to set up this glitch. So instead I'm gonna see how does this fight feel trying to do it with a level 1 sword. And if it sucks, I have a couple of options open to me. I can either go set that up, or I can leave and come back in through the back entrance until I get to this boss fight again from the back, which isn't too bad. I do have 2 opals. I think I'll be able to get through this just fine. And just... Honestly, this boss fight is where you want to spend your opals if you're going to spend them, so... It's not too bad. I forgot I have no shield, so... And shurikens do a lot of damage. I should put on barrier to mitigate that. Let's use another medical herb. Yeah, and part of the reason this fight is so difficult is because his movement is so erratic and almost impossible to predict. I'm out of medical herbs. I'm relying on my last opal at this point. That's fine. Again, if I use all of my supplies here, that supplies more expensive. This is the thing you want to supply up for. That said, I might be able to get out of here with my opal. Close to it. Nope, nope, there it goes. Alright. Then he was kind enough to stop right next to me and let me finish him off. Right. Placement medical herb for my trouble. Alright, let's finish this out. And the reason I'm going back in there to set a checkpoint, the boss rooms are all checkpoints, so that if something terrible happens and I die, I will get to reload at the latest checkpoint. And so by going back in after beating the boss, it means I don't have to fight the boss again should I accidentally die here. Just some nice little safety measures there. So I'm playing with fire, actually fighting these paralyzing spiders. So paralysis means you can no longer charge your weapon, which sometimes doesn't matter at all and sometimes matters a lot. Here it would have mattered a lot because I needed a charge shot to break down that wall. So, if I'd gotten paralyzed, that would have been quite bad. Ironically enough, that Lysis plant is consumable that cures paralysis. This is Carmine's item basement, item emporium. So called because there's 5 checks down here before you can get to the boss. Mostly they've been garbage so far, though. Recover's kind of nice, but not... Yeah, okay. I would say this is all garbage. Recover can be kind of nice sometimes, but it's not required for anything. And here we go. Here's Carmine. Now, Carmine is a fairly easy boss. I do only have a level 1 sword, so I am only doing a small amount of damage to him, but he doesn't have much HP. He's designed to be fought with a level 2 weapon, because he normally blocks the level 3 weapon of his weakness. As opposed to all the other bosses are designed to be fought with level 3 weapons. But as a result, that means his stats are much weaker, and he's got a very fixed pattern across the room, so he's not too hard to dodge. I'll put on a shield. Might as well. Nope, I will put on a better shield instead. And that is Goa basically done. We are leaving behind 1 check here, because at the very end, there's going to be an NPC that's been turned into a slime. You need the ivory statue to heal him. And I don't have that, so we're going to leave him behind. Thankfully, because of this back entrance, it's not too hard to get back here and check it later on if I find the ivory statue much later in the seed. Oh, it occurs to me what I probably should have done is once I got the Sword of Water on Motto's floor, I should have left and gone and gotten Crystalis. That'll be what I do next, to show that off against bosses, but there's still a couple bosses we need to fight, so we'll still get a chance to see it. Yeah. Let's use one of these Fruits of Power. I am a little bit low on MP. And because I don't have the healing spell, I am gonna actually keep that medical lure. I'm going in and out of that room because that room over there is a checkpoint. So it's kind of a long walk to this chest. If it ends up being junk, I'm just gonna reset and reload from that checkpoint. Yeah. We're gonna reset out of that one. There's 2 more chests down here. One of them requires flight, but we have that. The other one needs the Sword of Thunder, but we have that, so we can get everything here. Wow. 3 medical herbs. Do I hear a 4th? Is this going to be a cave of complete and utter garbage? Signs point to yes! Okay, everything there was completely crap. I did pick up a fog lamp at some point, so that's nice. That's important for the required quest. Let's see. Messia was in Portella, so let's head there first. And while I'm here, after I pick up this, I can go into Stixie and clear out the rest of the checks here. So I might as well. Put on Barrier. Oh, and Rabbit Boots no longer matter because I don't need to charge this weapon ever. So I'm going to put on the Dio's Pendant, which is an MP regen, because that actually does matter. Since I'm using Barrier and Flight all over the place. Especially Flight. Warp Boots don't matter. Orb of Thunder doesn't matter. Warp Boots doesn't matter. weapon upgrades don't matter anymore because none of them apply to this weapon. It's just always at the strongest level it's going to be. But yeah, you can see it kind of just melts enemies. I'll take this experience and money. Mostly the experience. I don't care too much about money at this point. But, you know, the levels do actually matter. A little bit. Honestly, not that much. Alright. Well, this was a bust. Let's go... There's a town that I haven't been to. And it might have an important house that I'm looking for in it. Which would let me access one of the game's required bosses. Oh, this is Skippery. It is a community meme to set Skippery free. We'll see him later. No, okay, so the house that I'm looking for has to be blocking itself, so I think I need the key to prison at this point. Alright, then where do I want to go next? See, this is where things get a little tricky, because the entire game is open. I know where I want to go. I want to go to Goa and defeat the boss in the temple. This is the first fight against Motto. It's much easier, both because I have a much better weapon. Ooh, alarm flute, okay. And because, it's just generally easier. So, town answering machine, I found that. I'm just going over my notes and trying to decide where to go next. I'm pretty sure I found Brokahana at some point. But I don't have written down in my notes where exactly that was. I think it's in Portoa, because I think it was fairly early on that I found him. Not there. So we're just going to do a quick check of some of these houses. Aurelius. Yeah, I don't have the trade-in that you want. Okay, it wasn't here. Was it in Bryn Mawr? I might also be mistaken, and I didn't actually see this guy anywhere. That was Oak Mom. Was it in Oak? No, I wrote down the two things that were in Oak. Yeah. Was it in Sahara? I didn't write down anything for Sahara, so this seems plausible. Yes, okay. After beating Motto 1, this guy will give you a check if you change into this form, which is very important. I'm glad that I was able to find that again. So that lets us sneak into this mountain through the back entrance. Normally you would have to find Telepathy and Teleport and the Leaf Elder and Zebu Student. And the only piece of that I couldn't find anywhere is Zebu Student. And I suspect it's because Zebu Student is down in the town that's at the bottom of this mountain, which means I had to find that key to prison. We're gonna find out shortly, because... Shell Flute. Shell Flute's required. Okay, so after this, I need to start going on a tour of the external buildings and figure out which ones let me activate that Shell Flute. There is a check in here. Flute of Lime. That's also progression. It is only one check because I kind of left behind a thing. I left behind one check in Waterfall Cave. That said, will also get me a hint of what's in Fog Lamp Cave and Crystalis Cave, which is good, because I haven't done either of those caves yet. There's Ski Free. He's just taking a nap, don't worry about him. We're gonna stay in the inn here. Don't need to buy anything. And don't need to sell anything, okay. So, I guess Cebu Student is on ESI, because I've been to every other town. So... Alright. There are 2 more checks to get in here, and so we're going to go grab those real quick while we're here. Lest I forget about them and leave them to languish. First one's way at the end of this tunnel. Insect flute. Okay. That's a check. Only 1 check, though. It's a mini-boss that we have to go fight. I think at this point we're looking for the key to Stixie. Yes, the key to Stixie has one of the required bosses behind it, guaranteed. Because there's 2 palace entrances left, one of them is behind that key to Stixie, and we need both of them. They both have required bosses in them, so... Magic ring, okay. So we're done here. I'm gonna go get that hint that I talked about in Portilla. And actually what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a hard save here. We're gonna go get the hint and go get the check at the very back of Waterfall Cave. And if that check ends up being junk, we can just reload from our save. And be on our way to the next thing. Since the other thing is just information. Okay. Here's where we get information. Orb of Fire. Okay, so... the way that hints work, it's a little bit complicated, but there's essentially tiers of items. And it tells you about the highest tier item, and then the furthest back as a tiebreaker. The fact that it told us about the Orb of Fire means that's the second to lowest tier. That means there's probably not much of interest back there. There's certainly no bows back there. There could be another trade-in back there, however. And that was a consumable that I didn't even have room in my inventory for. So, as mentioned, we're just going to reload our save, because everything there was junk. Heading down here to Rage. Rage wants a sword. If vanilla trade-ins are on, he wants the Sword of Water, which is why I haven't been here earlier, since that was the last sword we found. Having Crystalis is certainly good enough. He had a consumable. Let's make room for him. I don't need these 4 foods anymore. So that when I come back out, he can actually give me the item. Okay. That's Beach House. I'm going to Wild Warp back. Because there is an external house. Basically, there's a pool of 7 of those. And I'm looking for 2... At this point, I'm looking for 1 specific one. But there's one that's available right at the very beginning of the game that I have been putting off. Because there's no reason to run up here until you actually need these external buildings. So, Beach House is at Rage. And if this isn't it, then I will need... Okay, this is it. Perfect. So, give you that. and then teleport back to Portola, and we're going to walk down to Rage again. And I'm going to just put off the Portola side caves for now, since I know there can't be too much important back there. We'll go do a bunch of other things first. Poisoned. One thing you may have noticed is I will reset occasionally, because status effects are not saved when you reset and reload the game, so that's just me clearing a status effect there. Alright, now that I've got those, we can teleport to Joel. And Shelf Loop. So that complicated sequence of things that I did was all to activate the Shelf Loop. Which is important because it's the only way to get into Evil Spirit Island. Windmill key may or may not be important. Hard to say for now. We haven't found the windmill yet. So I'm getting dangerously low on health, and I do not have any levels left. I don't need to fight these. Okay, did unequip the Shelf Loop. I need to stop walking into enemies. At this point, we're looking for Key to Stixie and 2 bows. So, that's what's required to still beat the game. That's unfortunate. Part of my problem is I still have no armor. Here, let's actually use this in here. Better safe than sorry. Okay, Shelf Loop. That's not what I wanted to unequip. Okay. I am gonna go pick up that windmill key again. Because, again, it might be important. It locks away 7 checks, but if the windmill got shuffled to the top of the tower at the end of the game, it can't possibly have anything logically relevant in there. So, we are going to... So there's only like a 50-50 chance that it actually matters. And it doesn't matter at all until we get the eyeglasses to check the last of the external buildings. So, that's what we're kind of looking for. Ivory statue. A little unfortunate, because that could require going back into Go Up for that one singleton check. We're gonna, since that one's out of the way, we're gonna put that one off a while. But yeah. This is Evil Spirit Island. You have to be riding the dolphin to get into the cave that led into here from the ocean. So, there's a couple of checks here, and then at the end of this, there's a town that has a palace in it. Orb of Wind is one of the few... Oh, Key to Stixie. Okay. Right, we still need bows, so that's not go mode. If we were playing the actual tournament flags right now, we would be in go mode. Because we wouldn't care about needing the bow of sun and bow of moon. But we're not playing those flags, we're playing those flags with no bow mode removed, so we need the bows. So there's still 2 items we're hunting for, but we can get all the required bosses at least. Just mimic. So I think this has to be Zebu student? Yeah. Okay. My notes were, in fact, correct. And then this is going to be either Pyramid or Sparrow's Fortress. Looks like it's Pyramid. Let's see if I can get the super quick kill on Dragon 1 here. There's basically a glitch where if you time an attack right as you walk into the boss fight, it will constantly spam weapon shots as the camera screens up, and the boss will take damage during that transition, and then you'll defeat the boss before you even... Oh, I didn't get it. But you defeat the boss before you even get to this text, basically. It doesn't save that much time, because this boss has no iframes, so... It took me longer to explain all of that than it did to actually just do it. Ah, Bow of Sun. That's one of the important things we still needed. Alright. We're gonna go turn in this key to Stixie, because that is a majorly important item. Or, a required boss fight, I should say. Get a little checks in Pyramid. Just going through my tracker and making sure everything's up to date. Do that. I'm ignoring those two caves for now, because there's probably nothing important in them. Yeah, everything looks like it's up to date. I guess that can get checked off. Yeah. So this is going to be Sabera's Fortress, which has our last required boss. Because I'm now only one item away from being in go mode, I'm going to take the required path to the boss first, and then we'll see from there if there's anything else left. This is a required mini-boss on the way to the boss. Basically, there's one check off to the left and 3 checks on the right. I'm gonna get the 3 on the right first. Oh, Power Ring's nice. Oh, yeah, let's equip that. Might as well. Just flat out increases your damage. Again, one of the few things that actually matters when you have Crystalis. Ow. I'm really deep in this seed and do not have armor still. I should honestly, the next time I'm in a town and I see an armor shop, I should just consider going in and buying something at this point. Because it's frankly a little ridiculous that I haven't found either of the armor pieces that are in chests. I'm going to put barrier for this boss fight and do this. Alright. Fall down. I didn't want to go all the way out, but it's fine. I do need to go check this left chest, just in case it's the Bow of Moon. So we're now at the point of the game where we are hunting for a singular item. That is our go mode. And it can be basically anywhere. These butterflies are a little dangerous. I'm going to use the medical herb just so I don't randomly die to a butterfly screaming in from off screen. Because that'll happen. And I really don't want to have to redo this entire dungeon. Because there's no checkpoints anywhere in any of this. Okay, Clark was in Oak. Clark is available once you beat Spera. I believe it was this house, yes. Give me something. Give me something better. Okay, so that's done, that's done. I found the eyeglasses. The Joel Shack was in Swan. So we're gonna go here, we're gonna use the eyeglasses, and we're gonna see if it's 1 check or the key to opening 7 checks. One of the things that happens in this randomizer is you can get too many key items for your inventory, but that you just drop some of them to cycle through them and find the ones you actually need. Okay, this is the windmill. This is great, because this is what you want to see. Alright. Okay, I'm gonna pop into the inn here. Is there an armor shop here? Pawn shop. Or item shop. No, no armor shop. Okay. So I'm gonna go this way, and since I'm here anyways, we're gonna go talk to Zebu and set up the sleeping windmill guard check. You have to talk to Leaf Elder and Zebu's student first to be able to do this. I thought he was also going to give me an item, but I think you have to watch the explosion for that item to be there. I haven't done that yet. I'll explain what I mean in a minute. But first, we go up here and we use the alarm flute. Alarm flute. Love pendant. Alright, I can't turn that in yet because that requires paralysis first. So, we'll just keep that in our back pocket for now. So, trying to give me a consumable, my inventory's full. Yeah, sure. Give it to me. Honestly, I don't really need any of these consumables at this point. The one thing I'd be taking is medical herbs, just because, again, still don't have any armor. Which is a little unusual, honestly. Oh. I was supposed to, after opening and watching that cutscene at the front of the windmill, warp to Bryn Mawr, because it's actually a little bit faster, because you skip the two rooms that have nothing in them, if you go through the back. But it's fine, it doesn't save that much time, all things considered. Oh, that's Bert. Say hi to Bert. Bow of Moon. Okay, we're done. I'm not doing anything more here because we are just in go mode. Okay. I will go check to see if this one chest is armor. Or refresh. Refresh being a healing spell. Nope, it's paralysis. Okay. So, now that we're on the way to beat the game, skip everything else. So, this first room here is what we need the bows of Sun and Moon for. Honestly, armor doesn't make that big of a difference in the last set of fights, so the fact that I don't have any is not actually a big deal. So, to get past these two statues, you need the Bow of Sun and the Bow of Moon. And that unlocks the way forward. And basically, this dungeon is what gets skipped by no bow mode. If you turn on no bow mode, instead of the final boss being at the very back of this dungeon, the final boss is... There's a shortcut to the final boss in the very first room of the game. If you go up through the cryotube entrance that you come in, that you start the game at normally. It also means so that the final boss immediately switches to its second form instead of waiting for you to use the Bow of Truth, which you'll see in just a minute here. So I'm going to go ahead and equip said Bow of Truth and Barrier. Get in here. So yeah, I have to actually use that item to trigger that. Alright. bounce off his wings to manipulate his RNG a little bit so that he hopefully gives us more opportunities to attack. Hopefully. Basically, we want to see him do lasers instead of fireballs or blue popcorn. That's good. There we go. Yeah. Once he opens up, dies pretty quickly. And then one of the nice things about having Crystalis outside a tower is that if you get Crystalis before you go into tower, so normally, if you didn't have Crystalis, you would have to fight a series of these gold robots followed by white robots that spawn out of those little cubby holes in order to get the stairs on each floor to appear. Instead, if you have Crystalis, the stairs are just always there. So, I get to just kind of walk to the final boss now. And here we go. Here's the final boss, Dyna. Dyna is very trivial to cheese if you have barrier, because there's a soft spot here where you can just kind of stand and shoot and never be in any danger as long as you have barrier. If you don't have barrier, you can dance around the projectiles to kill the side pods, at which point you're safe to just stand in the middle and attack repeatedly. And that's time. 105.13 is reasonable time for this flag set. Turning no bow mode off did add a little bit of time at the end. Like I said, we would have been in go mode as soon as we activated the show. As soon as we found the key to 60, we would have been in go mode otherwise. But yeah. Yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you for your consideration, and I'll see you next time. I'm going to skip the credits here and just skip to the end, which has a stat screen that you can see when you found various important things in the run. Yeah, so in my experience, these flag sets, this particular flag set, the fastest I've seen it go has been like low 40 minutes, but that's fairly unusual. Around the hour mark is pretty common. Again, I don't have a ton of experience of having added no bow mode back into this, but I imagine that's going to add a few minutes at the end on average, because most of the seeds that I did before we added that back in ended before you found all 3 bows. So you're going to spend a little bit of extra time at the end hunting for the last couple bows. But yeah, the worst I've seen has been like hour and a half. So somewhere in that time range should be fine. Certainly for a marathon setting, we would have the seed vetted before and make sure it's not some disgustingly gross hell seed that's gonna blow out our estimate. But that's it for me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.